Hey, hello, howdy. These are 10 characters that exceeded my pre-overanalyzing expectations of them, aka characters I liked more leaving overanalyzing Naruto than going into it. These rankings aren't a best to worst ranking, rather the characters that exceeded my expectations the least to the characters that exceeded them the most. This list also isn't objective, so this isn't me saying you need to like these characters, it's just saying I did. So yeah, enjoy, or don't. Shizune is a character that generally I think deserves more credit. The fact she scared the shit out of Kabuto so much that he was worried about her more than Tsunade isn't talked about enough. In fact, she was so much of a problem in Orochimaru's plan that she forced herself to be addressed before Tsunade officially made her decision. Like, not to mention, she also saved Neji's life. And while yeah, I'm definitely overhyping her role at least a little bit, I still think it's worth noting. This not only makes her, at the very least, mid-Chunin level in strength, but also the current second best medical ninja. And I think that's something that viewers, including myself, look past. With that being said, this was something I was aware of going into overanalyzing Naruto, so while I do think I underestimated her, it wasn't by much, hence why she's the 10 spot on this list. Kisame is the first example of me underestimating the vibe a character has. Cause while yeah, I've always thought Kisame was cool and I've always liked him as a character, I never truly realized how terrifying he feels in OG Naruto. It just never clicked for me how crazy it was that he was kicking Asuma's ass. Like, I always saw it as like, oh my god, he's cracked, but now that feeling is, oh my god, he might have been just as scary as Itachi, which is quite the achievement. Just like Shizune, however, because I knew this, he's not ranked super high. All that happened, in reality, is he went from chill to cool. Orochimaru's on this list for really only one reason. When actually analyzing Naruto and not just watching it, it becomes so much easier to see how much of a villain this guy truly is. Like, you notice it while watching, of course, but like, everything that happened in OG Naruto was him? It was his doing? I wouldn't even be surprised if Gato was like his child or something. And it's crazy that he just pops up out of nowhere and then proceeds to change the entire course of the story just because. Not only that, but he's not even present for most of it. He's just this looming threat, and I guess I've come to appreciate that more. So, shout out Orochimaru. This is probably the lowest he'll ever be on a list. This is probably the highest Kiba will ever be on a list. Kiba's a great example of how nuanced this list can get, as this list is only based off exceeding expectations. And technically, I do like Kiba more than I used to. The only thing is, I didn't really like him that much to begin with. I think the best way to see this is through a personal and theoretical approval rating. Excuse the graphic. Going into overanalyzing Naruto, Kiba was at around a 40 for me, and leaving it, he was more like a 60. So just because he exceeded my expectation, that doesn't now mean I think he's good. I think what's really saving him here is when he rooted for Naruto when he fought Neji in his fight against Sokka on Inukan. When he rooted for Naruto, that wasn't long after he lost to him in an upset during the prelims, and I think that really shows his character. And when he was fighting Sokka on Inukan, I thought that showed his bond with Orochimaru really well, which, in my opinion, is the best part of his character. Shown, of course, with the graphic. These two things are like a beam of light that shines amongst a sea of mid. He's like Devin Williams. There's some good there, aka the change-up, but it doesn't change the fact he's a Met. There are 3 characters on this list that inspired me to make this video. Shino is the first one. With only 2 kinda low-key fights, I think it's easy to skip past Shino, especially since a defining characteristic of his is that he's quiet and kinda weird. But I noticed, and honestly, I always have. I've always known Shino was him, I just think it's easy to forget about him when there's so many amazing characters. But the style and nature of overanalyzing Naruto forces me to see it. I can't gloss over his accomplishments just cause Gaara's losing his mind and I'm having such a dandy time looking at this one frame. So in a weird way, because he's easy to forget, that made his time on screen more memorable for me, and thus exceeded my expectations by flying under the radar. Hot take, Shikaku is the most underrated father/father figure in all of Naruto. Shikaku, not to be mistaken with Shukaku, is actually very similar to Shino in the sense that he's easy to forget but strong when on screen. Like he's monumental to the 2 big Shikamaru growth moments in original Naruto. The first one is when he shows us he's an ultra woke feminist, and the other is when he calls Shikamaru a pussy. Yes, this is exactly what happens. Both of these moments are really good cherry on top kind of moments that help cap off arcs. And I think as a community, we've underestimated his role in original Naruto. But that's also probably because of his role in Shippuden. Like a lot of characters on this list, I think I just forget about Kimimaro. When I think of the Sasuke recovery mission and the quote-unquote villains of that arc, I tend to think of characters like Chiyuya and Kidomaru. For some reason, those two are just more memorable to me than fucking Bone Guy, but Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I have no clue why I forget he exists. I wish I could ask my brain, hey, what's going on up there, but I just can't. And because of that, I had minimal expectations that proceeded to get fucking blown out the water. So all I can really say here is like, I'm sorry. I apologize. First off, shout out Sasuke's mom. I think when looking at the Sasuke flashbacks in OG Naruto, us as viewers tend to pay more attention to the constant comparisons of him and Itachi, but it's where we see one of the most underrated characters in all of Naruto, Mikoto. Like, she is the only character in that flashback who is shown to be caring to Sasuke, but because of the tragedy that surrounds Sasuke's flashbacks, it's hard to remember. But like I've said, overanalyzing Naruto doesn't let you forget anything. And nearing the end of overanalyzing Naruto, it was pretty much the main thing that stuck out to me that I didn't already know. Like, you have Itachi losing his mind, Fugaku saying, don't be Itachi, so Mikoto is the only person actually caring for a young Sasuke. Like, she is genuinely on and shown to be on Sasuke's side 100% of the time, which is so important in that flashback. So, and I'm gonna say it again, shout out Sasuke's mom. There are 3 characters on this list that inspired me to make this video. Dosu is the second. And he's the GOAT. Anyone who watched Overanalyzing Naruto during the Chunin exams will tell you how much I love Dosu, like, he's actually the GOAT. But like a lot of characters on this list, Dosu's the type that's easily overshadowed by other amazing characters. Like, no disrespect to Dosu, of course, that's literally a sin, but he's not really the first character you think of when looking at the Chunin exams. That's more Gaara or Orochimaru, especially because those two are kind of above and beyond him. But Dosu is actually so underrated, it's insane. He's the only sound ninja in all of Naruto that realizes Orochimaru's using him, then proceed to have the self-worth to not be okay with that, then have the guts to do something that actively goes against him. And like, yeah, he failed and died in the process, but still. He's the only one that has a genuine consciousness, and that's so underrated. He's in GOAT Corner, which actually should just be named Dosu Corner, he's that good. There are 3 characters on this list that inspired me to make this video. Sakura is the main one. Overhated. Part 1 Sakura is overhated. If you were to say Sakura is written poorly in Part 1 Naruto, I honestly don't think you're wrong. Like, Kishimoto and Studio Pierrot did her so dirty, not only because she's sidelined for pretty much no reason other than why not, but also because it's a pretty clear display of misogyny. Kishimoto displays her, the main female character of this show, as this weak girl who needs everyone's help, which is kind of disgusting. And if you were to say, I don't like how her character is pretty much misogynistic propaganda, then I think that's valid. But I don't think having that opinion is then grounds for hating Sakura specifically and her actions, especially because most of that kind of improves in Shippuden. Like, a lot of the Sakura hate, at least that I see, is ignorant at the best and sexist at the most. Like, some of y'all will put Part 1 Jiraiya, a high-key sex offender, higher than Sakura. And why? Why is that, guys? Because at 12 years old, she was inconsiderate towards Naruto's upbringing? You know, the thing she later realized she was inconsiderate towards right after? Like, I don't know, I think we're mad at the wrong thing. Like, y'all should have been over that by the Chunin exams. At that point, at least they were good friends. Like, that's a crazy double standard. We hate the 12-year-old pink girl more than the middle-aged creepy old man? Okay. And this isn't me saying you need to like Sakura as a character, it's all subjective at the end of the day. You're perfectly in your own right to dislike any character. I'm more saying that going out of your way to hate everything Sakura does is a little bit of a yikes. Like, I don't think a lot of people understand that Sakura's arc in Part 1 Naruto is all mental. She struggles with confidence and then gains it during the Chunin exams. She's then unfortunately sidelined during Search for Tsunade and the Sasuke recovery mission. Not to mention she was also sidelined in the Land of Waves. But by the end of Part 1 Naruto, she's in a position to where she can be strong in the time skip. That point A to point B is already a decent amount of character growth. It's just that people don't care to look at it because Part 1 Sakura isn't a strong shinobi. And because of overanalyzing Naruto, we're seeing this point A to point B and putting it under a microscope. So no matter how badly she's sidelined for the rest of OG Naruto, we're still able to clearly see those moments and remember them, even if we've moved on. And because this is an overanalyzed watch through and not a casual one, that now makes Sakura criminally underrated. Like, her fight with Ino now feels like it's actually a lot better than you'd think, albeit kind of the worst version of Hinata vs Neji. Her big moment during the Forest of Death feels more like a standout moment rather than a let's get this out the way kind of thing. Her talk with Sasuke is now a lot more tragic in her perspective. And her talk with Naruto in the hospital, along with her asking Tsunade to train her, are good strong moments to send her off on. Unfortunately, these are kind of her only moments, so a casual viewer may forget about them. But again, we see this clearly. So shout out Sakura. If only people didn't see pink hair and say, ew. These are 10 characters I liked in OG Naruto. Next week, I'll do 10 characters I disliked. If you enjoyed, you should like, not dislike. And yeah, this video was inspired by the Foolish Bailey's 5 hitters I like, 5 pitchers I like, 5 players I dislike. Wonder if that means there'll be a top 50. That wasn't supposed to mean anything, I seriously don't know. If you want to support me more than just watching this video, you can become a member on Patreon. And yeah, shout out Sasuke's mom.